Imagine two naive, provoked, intoxicated young men getting into a heated argument. Surely, someone's going home with a broken nose. But if the confrontation happened in the US, statistically, it will more likely end with a loud bang and a blood-stained concrete floor. In fact, according to the United States National Security Council, in 2021, there were more than 48,000 gun-related deaths in the country, and 43% of the casualties were homicide victims. To put that into perspective, that's about 80 deaths due to gun violence per day. From 2020 to 2022, there have been more than 600 mass shootings per year, averaging almost 2 per day. As a result, the U.S. government has been heavily criticized for its lax and reactive measures to prevent these disgusting crimes from happening again. To emphasize how dire the situation is, let's listen to what Dale Hansen has to say.
Another high school shooting yesterday, this one in Florida. 17 dead, the last report I saw. And everybody sends their thoughts and prayers again because that works so well. This is the 18th high school shooting in America this year, and we have 10 and a half months to go. We've had 290 since 2013. We average about one a week, but there's just nothing we can do. If it was a Muslim or a Mexican doing the shooting, how many new laws and how much money would we spend then to stop the madness? But since it's almost always a white kid, there's just nothing we can do. America has 5% of the world's population and yet 31% of the world's mass shootings. We're worried about people coming to this country. They should be worried about us going to theirs. Australia had 4 mass shootings between 87 and 96. They passed stricter gun laws and haven't had a single mass shooting since. And here I thought, guns don't kill, people do. Is this the people we are? Last time I said we need to find a way to stop a nut with a gun, and that's all I said. I get an email saying, I'm saving my last bullet to put it right between your eyes. Just another responsible gun owner in America, and I'm taking all bets he's a white guy. So there's just nothing we can do. I'm Dale Hansen. It's getting harder to enjoy the day.
While the country has split opinions about the idea, let's say the U.S. gun ban happened today. What are the benefits of a gunless society? Are there any disadvantages to banning guns from civilians? Will there be any alternatives to using firearms? What would it be if, let's say, the U.S. gun ban happened today? What are the benefits of a gunless society? Let's say the total U.S. gun ban on civilians happened today. Intuitively, gun-related crimes and violence in the country will dramatically drop. Not only that, but if there will be few to no guns available in circulation, a significant increase in public safety will almost instantaneously be felt in the country. Imagine not having to be anxious about your children's lives at school, or imagine how restful your sleep could be if there will be no guns to worry about. A gunless society not only fosters a safer environment, but also promotes improved mental health for its citizens. In 2021, more than 26,000 American citizens used guns to put a stop to the pain they had been dealing with. If guns were not easily accessible to the public, countless individuals who were struggling with mental health issues would have been helped and saved. Overall, if the U.S. bans the use of guns, it would enable a safer and healthier society. Are there any disadvantages to banning guns from civilians? According to a study conducted by the Pew Research Center in 2021, 40% of U.S. adults live in a firearm-equipped household, and 63% of them said that the reason they own one is to protect themselves from those who are irresponsible gun owners. But having one firearm isn't usually the case. In one study conducted by the Council on Foreign Relations, there are 120.5 civilian-owned guns per 100 people in the U.S. This means there are more guns than people in the United States, 393 million private-owned firearms to be exact. If the U.S. were to ban the ownership and usage of firearms by civilians, this would cause a huge uproar and political unrest in the country. The Second Amendment states that every U.S. citizen has the right to keep and bear arms. Let's say a total gun ban happened today. Gun owners will likely protest against it, believing that this directive is an infringement of their constitutional rights to own guns for protection and recreation. As a result, the U.S. government will likely experience resistance and non-compliance from its citizens that support gun ownership. This could lead to more protests, rebellion, and ultimately, more violence. Not only that, but a gun ban could also increase the demand for firearms and create opportunities for smugglers and the black market to sell guns under the government's noses. So, if the U.S. decides to ban civilians from owning and using firearms, gun supporters will likely protest against the government, citing their constitutional rights and safety. Will there be alternatives to using firearms? Humans are creative. From the dishes that we cook to the tools we use to defend ourselves, people resort to creativity and innovation in order to preserve and improve their ways of life. If the United States bans its people from guns, there are lots of alternatives that a civilian could use for their safety. Tasers, stun guns, pepper sprays, and other non-lethal weapons could be used to gain the upper hand in case of emergencies. Home security systems could also help deter burglars and intruders, making it less likely for you to resort to any violence or use of weapons. On the other hand, terrorists and criminals alike would likely resort to explosives, melee weapons, chemical weapons, and cyber attacks to carry out their plans to disrupt peace and order in a gunless society. While one might argue that the banning of firearms wouldn't directly erase gun-related violence, countries that have stricter gun laws have proven that it is possible to reduce such incidents if the government decides to do so. For example, in 2018, Japan only recorded 6 gun-related incidents. This is due to the fact that Japan has some of the strictest gun laws in the world. Another example is Australia. After the events of a mass shooting in 1996, the Australian government reactively implemented heavy restrictions on firearms and a mandatory buyback of certain types of guns. In 2018, gun-related deaths in the country have dropped, 0.85 per 100,000 people to be exact. In other words, a significant decrease in gun casualties is achievable if the government is willing to take measures to achieve it. A gun is like a two-edged sword. It could be used to protect and defend, but it could also be used to shoot and kill. But let's say a zombie apocalypse happened today. How will you protect yourself from these flesh-eating creatures? Is there any chance you could survive a zombie apocalypse without a gun? Keep watching to find out on another episode of Let's Say.